Hi guys, welcome to activity 3.3, reading the novel Tangerine. We have two learning targets. Please label them number 1 right here and number 2. Number 1 says, record and respond with personal commentary to textual evidence from a novel. So you're going to record textual evidence and then put your commentary, like this quote shows, this quote portrays, this quote conveys. That's commentary. So your power verbs, you want to get those out. Number 2, write, discuss, and evaluate levels of questions about the text with your peers. So you're going to write, then discuss, and evaluate levels of questions. Is it a level 1, 2, or 3 question? During this lesson, you'll be think, pair, sharing with your shoulder partner. You'll be note-taking and questioning the text. First thing I'm going to have you do is get out your composition notebook. You have a quick write. It says, can human beings choose not to remember when and why might a person make a choice to forget? So in your composition notebook, I'm going to have you write one paragraph here. And again, the prompt is, can human beings choose not to remember? When and why might a person make a choice to forget? Remember, you want to start with a hook. Then you want to have some kind of connecting sentences. And then you just want to go into your essay, but you do also want to have a claim somewhere, or basically a thesis. You can call this a thesis, or we can call this a claim, whatever you want to call it.
Miss Looney, Miss Holster, Miss Baker, please call the office.
Okay, one paragraph, ready, set, go. All right, next, it says, as you read Tangerine, you will take notes in a double entry journal. Copy or summarize passages from the book on the left side, that's the textual evidence, so you're pulling pieces on the left side for the textual evidence, and write your response to each passage on the right. So right is your commentary. Draw a horizontal line under each entry. For reference, record the page number of each quote. So responses could include questions about things you don't understand, opinions about characters or plot events, connections you make to real life or other texts, predictions, which are guesses about how characters will react to events, inferences, logical conclusions about why characters are saying or doing things. Consider this example from the first lines of Tangerine. So I do need you to get out your composition notebook. You're going to copy this down. You need to have 3 columns. So page number is 1, textual evidence is 2, so you're going to go quote, quote, quote all the way down. Commentary is 3. So page 1, it says the textual evidence they pulled out. The house looked strange. It was completely empty now. The student's commentary, basically opinion, says inference. I think Paul's family is moving out of their house. That's what they're inferring from this. Question, where is he moving? A connection, my classroom looks like this after the last day of school. So it can be any kind of connection to your real life. Good readers always make connections, so we want to start making connections every time we read. So I need you to have an inference, a question, and a connection every time on the side. Then underneath, number 2, it says below you will find a page of a blank double entry journal form to use as you read and discuss the prologue together as a class. Try to use a variety of responses. So we have question, opinion, connection, prediction, inference. So this is a blank double entry journal. You're going to find a page number, textual evidence, and commentary. As we read the prologue together, you're going to fill out a page number, textual evidence, and commentary. And I will stop to give you time to do that. So let's read the prologue and then pick something to put for textual evidence. Draw a quote there. You will use several double entry journals as you read Tangerine. Follow your teacher's directions to create double entry journals in the Reader-Writer Notebook for taking notes on the novel. So you have a double entry journal for every chapter. I checked them. They are 10 points apiece. So that could add up over the course of the book. Make sure you're doing them. Okay, introducing the strategy, questioning the text. A strategy for thinking actively and interpretively about your reading is to ask questions. As you read any text, you can ask questions that aid your understanding with different levels of ideas. So the first one we have is a literal question. It's a level 1. You can answer literal questions by looking at the text directly. So the easiest type of question. For example, what kind of car does Miss Fisher drive? Not too tough. These types of questions we call level 1. Because they're basic level questions. The next one gets a little harder. An interpretive level question, it says, You cannot find answers to interpretive questions directly in the text. However, textual evidence points to and supports your answers. So an example of this would be, what emotions does Paul feel as he remembers the incident with the mailbox? So you're thinking a little deeper here. You're not just looking at the text and answering like what color, okay? You're making an inference. What you have to just think a little deeper on this piece. So it says, what emotions does Paul feel as he remembers the incident with the mailbox? It's also some of your opinion. Okay, a universal question gets a little harder. It says, level 3, these questions go beyond the text. They require you to think about the larger issue or ideas raised by the text.
Miss Linney, Miss Hallstrom, or Miss Baker, please call the office.
Okay, so it says, is it possible that people who are visually impaired can see things more clearly than people who see perfectly? This is a harder type of question because you are analyzing the text and then you're taking that even beyond that to the real world. So basically a level 3 question, you're taking it all the way to the real world circumstance. So you're going to write 3 questions, one of each type, about the prologue to Tangerine. So one literal, which is like what color, an easy question, an interpretive where you're making an inference, a universal where it applies to real life. All right. The last piece, collaborative discussion. Remember to follow group norms about discussion, speak clearly, listen carefully, and allow each person a turn to question and respond. Share your levels of questions with a small group of peers and ask them to respond to each. After all group members have shared and responded to one another's 3 questions, discuss how the questions and responses helped each of you to come to a new understanding. Which questions were the easiest to answer and which were more difficult? Which questions led to the most interesting and informative discussions? So you're going to be discussing the questions that you write down. And the first one, which ones, it says, discuss how the questions and responses helped you come to a new understanding. So the first one, how did it help you come to a new understanding? Oops. How did it help you come to a new understanding? The second one says, which questions were the easiest? So number 2, I'm going to put those as 2 separate ones, so easiest. And number 3, which ones were the hardest? And number 4, which questions led to the most interesting and informative discussions? So interesting and informative. So it gave you a lot of information. All right, ready, set, go.